What if the danger you couldn't see was already being handled behind the scenes? What if protection didn't look like escape, but like being surrounded in a way you never expected? And how do you trust the journey when everything about it feels uncertain? The message had been delivered, a secret plot uncovered. More than 40 men bound by an oath waiting to take Paul's life. But now, everything had changed, because the truth had reached the right ears. The Roman commander didn't hesitate. He didn't ignore the warning. He didn't delay. He acted immediately. He called for 2 of his officers and gave them clear instructions. Prepare a detachment, not a small group, not a handful of guards, but a force large enough to ensure one thing: Paul would arrive safely. 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, 200 spearmen. Think about that. This wasn't just protection. This was overwhelming presence, a full escort for one man. And the timing was just as important. They were to leave at night, under cover of darkness, quietly, strategically. Because sometimes the safest path is the one no one sees coming. Paul was placed among them, not as a free man, not yet, but no longer exposed, no longer vulnerable to the crowd. Now he was surrounded, guarded, moved with precision. And as they prepared to leave Jerusalem, the city behind them still held tension, still held voices, still held plans that would never unfold the way they were intended. Because while others plotted in secret, something greater had already moved ahead. The commander also wrote a letter, a formal explanation, addressed to the governor in Caesarea. His name was Felix. And in that letter, the commander explained the situation. He described how Paul had been seized by the Jews, how they were about to kill him, and how he had stepped in with soldiers and rescued him. He mentioned that he discovered Paul was a Roman citizen. That alone changed the tone, because now this wasn't just about a local conflict. It involved Roman law, Roman authority, Roman responsibility. The letter continued. He explained how he brought Paul before their council, trying to understand the accusations. And what did he find? No charge worthy of death. No crime deserving punishment, just disagreements about their own laws, their own beliefs, their own disputes. And then he revealed the most critical part. A plot had been discovered, a plan to ambush Paul, to kill him, and because of that he was sending him to Felix immediately, along with the accusers. So the matter could be handled properly. The letter was clear, direct, official. It shifted the situation from chaos to process, from mob reaction to structured authority. And that shift matters, because sometimes movement is not about freedom right away. It's about positioning, getting you where you need to be for what comes next. The journey began. Under the cover of night, the soldiers escorted Paul out of Jerusalem, step by step, through the darkness, away from danger, but not away from purpose. Because this wasn't the end of his story. It was a transition, a movement from one place to another, from one chapter to the next. They traveled to Antipatris, a city along the route, and there something changed again. The next day, the foot soldiers returned to Jerusalem. Their part of the mission was complete. But the horsemen continued, escorting Paul the rest of the way to Caesarea. The journey wasn't rushed, it wasn't chaotic, it was steady, controlled, intentional. And when they arrived, they delivered the letter to the governor. They presented Paul, not as a criminal, but as someone under protection. Someone whose case required attention. Felix read the letter, carefully. He asked Paul where he was from, and when he learned that he was from Cilicia, he made a decision. I will hear your case when your accusers arrive. And just like that, Paul was placed under guard in Herod's palace, waiting, not condemned, not released, but held, in between. This moment is quiet. There's no crowd, no shouting, no immediate danger, just waiting. And sometimes that's the hardest place to be, because waiting feels uncertain. It feels incomplete. It feels like nothing is happening. But in reality, everything is moving, just not in ways you can always see. Think about everything that just happened. A deadly plot, a young man who spoke up, a commander who acted, hundreds of soldiers mobilized, a night journey, a formal letter, a transfer of authority, all of it working together to move one man from danger to safety. Not by chance, not by accident, but through a series of connected moments, each one necessary, each one important. And Paul was in the middle of it. Not controlling it, not directing it, but walking through it, step by step. This revealed something powerful, Because we often think protection should look obvious, clear, immediate. But sometimes it looks like movement, like transition, like being taken somewhere you didn't plan to go. Paul didn't ask to be escorted, he didn't request protection, he didn't design the plan, but he was part of it, and it led him exactly where he needed to be. This challenges the way we see our own situations, because there are moments when life shifts unexpectedly, when things change direction, when we find ourselves in places we didn't choose, and it's easy to question it, to wonder why, to feel uncertain. But what if those moments are not interruptions? What if they are positioning? What if they are part of a larger path that we can't fully see yet? Paul's journey to Caesarea wasn't comfortable. He was still under guard, still waiting, still facing accusations, but he was also protected, guided, moved forward. And that's the tension we often live in. Not fully free, but not abandoned, not fully settled, but not without direction. And in that space, something important happens. Trust is formed, because you begin to realize that not everything depends on you, that there are things happening beyond your control, beyond your visibility, beyond your understanding, and yet they are working together. Paul didn't see the whole picture. He didn't know every detail, but he had something steady, a promise that he would continue, that his journey had purpose, that his story wasn't over. And that's what carried him, not the soldiers, not the system, but the assurance that there was more ahead. So what does this mean for you? It means that the moments where you feel in between, where you feel like you're just waiting, where things are unclear, those moments still matter. They are not empty. They are part of the process. It means that protection doesn't always feel like freedom. Sometimes it feels like being held, being guided, being moved step by step. And it means that even when you don't understand the path, you can still trust that there is direction. Because just like Paul, there may be things happening around you. People acting, decisions being made, paths being opened that you don't fully see, but they are leading somewhere. The journey to Caesarea wasn't the end. It was preparation for what would come next, for conversations, for trials, for opportunities that hadn't arrived yet. And the same can be true for you. Where you are right now may not be where you stay, but it may be exactly where you need to be for this moment. So instead of resisting it, what if you leaned into it? What if you trusted that even in the waiting, even in the uncertainty, even in the movement, there is purpose? Because sometimes the safest place is not where you feel comfortable. It's where you are being led. And sometimes the journey you didn't plan is the one that carries you forward the most. Paul didn't choose this path, but he walked it, and it moved him closer to what was ahead, step by step, moment by moment, until the next chapter began. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share this video with someone who needs this encouragement today.